In the previous chapter, we've seen what an Android application is made of, and now we're going to create a new project and start coding. New project, Android project. I will name it Joshua. It's going to be Android 2.1, application name same, Joshua, package name com.voxisland. And let's create a first activity and let's name it simply Joshua. Here we go. We have the application. We can see what's inside and we can try to run it. Okay, I have an error here. First one. It's telling me that there's nothing to launch. The problem here is that my development environment doesn't really know when to launch. What I need to do is to open the code and then I will be able to launch it. Let's check what's on the console. I see that the installation has succeeded and I also see that the activity has started. That sounds good. Let's have a look in the emulator, and yes, indeed I see my application. I have Hello World Joshua. So now, one more time, because that's important, that's a mistake beginners are making very easily. When you run an application, be sure that you run a file in the code that you want to run. Especially at the beginning when you're navigating between the source code and the resource code. If you try to run your application once you're here, you will have the creation of a main.out.xml and a bunch of error on the console. In this case, we'll have to delete the main.out.xml and go back to the code and rerun it. That's a very common mistake. Okay, successful, and the application is running. So the very first thing we're going to do is to change this Hello Joshua. So it's in values, strings.xml, and in the hello string, because as you know in the layout we saw that the text for this text view is at string/hello, and it's pointing us to strings.html hello just here, and we'll replace this with greetings Professor Falcon. I'm saving. Now I'm going back in the joshua.java and I'm running the application. Application is there, and now it says greetings Professor Falcon. Wonderful. So we'll be nice, and we're going to answer this application. For that we'll need a button. As we've seen, we're going in the layout, and we'll just add a button. Two ways to do that. This is the first way. We'll change its property here, or I'm removing it to show you the second way, the one I prefer personally. Coding it in XML. So let's create a button, and let's define now the different properties. Let's start with Android layout width, and we'll set that to fill parent. Now the layout height, and that is going to be wrap content. Now we'll need to set an ID for that button. Okay. Here we're going to create an ID. and I will intentionally make a mistake here. So I will just forget the ID. So add plus slash my button. Then we'll set up some text. So we'll leave it blank for now, and we will create a string here. Let's name it answer. Let's say hello Joshua. I'm saving this, going back here, and let's point now to add string slash answer that I've just created. Now let's check the layout. It's going to be better in portrait mode. Greetings, Professor Falcon. Hello, Joshua. Perfect. Now let's start this application. I'm about to click when I see here that there's something wrong. Layout cannot be resolved. That's a strange error. So let's see what's wrong here, because this error is not easy to understand based on this warning. What you need to understand here that your R class is kind of corrupted because of the modification we just made. So it's going to be easy. Let's go check what mistake we made here. So I did that on purpose. In the layout here, the layout is corrupted actually. It's not showing a warning here, but the mistake is here. So when you create a new ID, it's at plus ID slash and the name, or your R file is going to be corrupted. Okay, that's fixed. The main XML code is now correct. And let's go back in the Java file. Let's run it. No more error. Let's see what we have here. Just perfect. I have a Hello Joshua button. I can click on the button. But if I click on the button, there's no reaction. Just because we never told the application what to do if we click on the button, and that's what we're going to do right now. So you see that in the Joshua class we have defined what to do when we create this activity. On create, we create the parent on create, and we set the view. So we set content view. There's no button here. The button has been created, yes, but it's been created in the layout, not in the Java code. So what we'll do right here is defining a button. The button is an object. Its class is simply button. So we'll name it my button, same thing as in the display, but I can choose another name if I want. And we'll say that it's a new object button, and I will cast it into button, and we'll look for it. We'll try to find it. What we know about it is its name in the layout, and we also know that there is an R class, not corrected awfully, which contain pointers to the different objects I've created. So we're going to do find view. Well, basically a view is a widget, so a graphical widget. So find view by ID, r.id dot, and we have my button here. So semicolon, and I just created my button. So I've got a warning here. Let's see. The issue here is that I'm using button, but I've not imported the button class. So I'm importing it, and there's another warning. Let's check. So the interface is proposing me to remove my button because I've created a button and I'm not using it. So the system thinks it's useless. But I know I'm going to use it, so I will just ignore that message. Now what we have to do is coding the button's behavior. First, we'll need to create a button listener. What is it? It's a method that is going to be called when we click on the button, and the listener itself will run the code that I will provide. So let's create this listener. It's an object that is in the button class. It's button dot on click listener, and we'll call it my listener, and we'll say that it's a new button on click listener. Semicolon here, and I just created my listener. Okay, there's something wrong. You'll see what it is. Cannot instantiate. So there's something missing. What's missing is, well, I said that I need to provide some code that will be run when I click on the button, and I'll provide the code this way. It's empty. I've got another warning, and it's saying that I must implement the uniterated method. So let's do what's suggested here, add unimplemented methods. Sounds good. And if I do that, it's creating for me an on-click method that I need to provide. So that's the code that will run when I click on the button. So here, I'm just going to display a message. It's going to be a toast message. You see, it's easy to use. It will just pop up a small message on a screen for a couple of seconds. So toast is an object. Toast dot, and I will ask this class to create a toast message. So make text. And I need to provide 3 parameters here: context, text, and duration. For the context, usually you use this, but you see there's a problem with that. For the text, I will use, let's say, write Joshua's answer. Would you like to play a game of chess? And for the duration, we're going to use a toast constant. We have basically 2 options: long display or short display. So whatever, let's use short. And I just use long actually. So what's wrong with this? Well, you need to know that it's not really this that we're going to use here. Since we're not directly in the activity class, we are currently in a listener. So we're going to use Joshua.this, which is a real context of this activity. So be careful with that. So we have just created a toast object, and we forgot to ask it to display it, and I've added the .show function. So now it's going to show on the screen. Okay? Now we have a button. I have, it's not used for anything yet. As mentioned here, we have a listener, same thing, not used either. And now we need to connect the button and the listener. So just to have a better view on the code, I will try to minimize this. And usually when I do that, I do a lot of mistakes. Okay, I'm almost there. Not yet. Okay, let's move that a little bit also. Okay, that's a little bit better. So we'll go here after the listener creation, and we'll link the listener and the button. For that, we'll use a button method, which is set onClick listener. And I will provide the listener object, so here, my listener, semicolon here. I'm saving. I see that there is apparently no problem in my code, so let's try it. Let's see. Okay, perfect. Greetings, Professor Falcon. And when I click, I have the answer. That was here the toast message. That's what I was expecting. So I can say that the application behavior is good. But myself, as a developer, is my behavior good? Not really. First, I broke one of the rules of the MVC model, since I have hard-coded something here. I'm bad. And I also forgot the exclamation mark, so we're going to fix that. I will copy the text, and I will add it here, of course, in the string XML. As I said, I'm not necessarily going to do that any time, but you should do that every time. So I will name it Joshua answer. And the content will be, would you like to play a game of chess? And now in the code, it's coming. In the code I will remove this hard-coded string, and I will use r.id. Well, not exactly. There's my button and class here. Doesn't make any sense. Okay, it's very simple. ID, r.id, is for graphical resources that we have created in the layout. That's what we have done so far. So here we need r dot, and we have, as you can see, string here. So let's use r dot string dot Joshua answer. That sounds good. So let me save it, and let's try. So it should be the same application, but a better code. Okay, that's good. Okay, now let's go back a little bit and let's recap. So we have created a button, we have created a listener, and in this listener we have overridden the onClick method. And in this onClick method we are creating a toast message, and we show it, and then we linked our button and our listener. Okay, it may look a little bit tedious and a little bit long as a code, but I will show you how to save some space and save some time too. So saving some space is what I'm doing right now, not too difficult. Now let's think a minute. Let's think about what we have created. We have created a my listener. Do we really need to create an object, a button onClick listener object named my listener? Not really. What's in my listener? In there I put an onClick listener. So I'm going to copy that. Okay. Now I'm going to delete the creation of my listener and just replace the variable my listener with the creation of the listener. I'm saving. I'm still removing some extra space. So let's save. Okay, it's arguable, but to me it's a little bit more readable this way. Okay, I hope you're proud of what we've built. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines of Java code, a little bit of XML, and we have an application that is really doing something. An application that says hello and to which we can answer. In the next chapter, we're going to improve this application. I'll see you there.